My sister-in-law was 10 weeks pregnant when the checkup revealed a miscarriage, but she insisted she could feel fetal movement. Family members all claimed it was a misdiagnosis, arguing that fetal movement meant the pregnancy couldn't have stopped, and they called the doctor incompetent. Only I told the truth. At 10 weeks, fetal movement is impossible. It was likely just intestinal peristalsis. If she didn't undergo an abortion, she could develop an intrauterine infection, which could be fatal in severe cases. My sister-in-law was scared and ultimately followed my advice to have the abortion later. She heard that the neighbor's sister had no fetal heartbeat at the 6-week checkup, but it appeared after 8 weeks, and she gave birth to a healthy baby at full term. She was filled with hatred toward me, blaming me for making her have an abortion. The doctor must have misdiagnosed me back then. It's all your fault for forcing me to have an abortion. If I had given birth to the child back then, he would be old enough to run errands by now. She stabbed me more than a dozen times in her frenzy. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn back to the day of my sister-in-law's prenatal checkup. The poster in the hospital hallway says low education is also a high-risk factor for pregnancy. How ridiculous. What did we low-educated people ever do to anyone? Such sarcasm. Hearing my sister-in-law's voice, I instinctively covered my abdomen, the image of being stabbed lingering in my mind. My sister-in-law, still holding the ultrasound report, kept chattering. They said my pregnancy stopped. How is that possible? I felt the baby move just yesterday. Ying, you're a college student, more educated than me. Do you think I should listen to that female doctor and have an abortion, just like in my past life? She threw the question to me. In my previous life, when my sister-in-law felt the baby move, the whole family unanimously believed that the doctor had misdiagnosed her. My mother immediately said, if there's fetal movement, then the baby is fine. I told you prenatal checkups are useless, but you insisted on listening to Ying and getting one. What a waste of money. I never had any prenatal checkups when I was pregnant, and I gave birth to both of them healthy and strong. My mother pointed at my brother and me, her face filled with pride. My brother sat on the sofa, casually puffing on a cigarette, looking carefree and nonchalant. Mom is right. Since there's fetal movement, we shouldn't listen to that quack doctor. Let's skip the prenatal checkups from now on. My sister-in-law patted her chest, growing angrier the more she thought about it. These doctors nowadays are so unethical. That old woman had a sour face, clearly unhappy in her marriage, and she doesn't want me to be happy either, deliberately trying to make me miscarry. Don't you think so, Ying? I looked at the examination report and tried to persuade her kindly. If you think the doctor misdiagnosed you, we can go to another hospital for a second opinion, but if the fetus has really stopped developing, then you'll have to have an abortion. My mother glared at me. Why change hospitals? Don't prenatal checkups cost money? How did I end up with such a wasteful child like you? For the sake of my sister-in-law's health, I argued with reason, and in the end, I paid for her to get checked at another hospital. The test results were the same, a missed abortion, but my mother and my brother stubbornly refused to believe it, claiming the doctor deliberately didn't want my sister-in-law to give birth to a dragon son. My sister-in-law didn't want to admit that her pregnancy had stopped, so she caressed her belly and said the baby was kicking her. She explained that her recent decrease in early pregnancy symptoms was because the baby was being considerate of her, and such a well-behaved baby was her lucky star. She couldn't bear to let go. I had no choice but to patiently explain. At 10 weeks, it's impossible to feel fetal movement. It's likely just intestinal peristalsis. Sister-in-law, please listen to me and go for the abortion. If the dead fetus stays in your body for too long, it could cause an intrauterine infection, and in severe cases, it could be fatal. If I didn't speak to her in such a straightforward and simple manner, she wouldn't listen. When she heard that it could be fatal, my sister-in-law became frightened and chose to go to the hospital for an abortion. My mother was still shouting, even if the fetus stops developing, I have old methods to bring it back to life. If you listen to Ying and have an abortion, don't regret it later. Ignoring my family's objections, I took my sister-in-law, who was in a dazed state, to the hospital for the procedure. After the abortion, my brother and sister-in-law did not conceive again for 2 years. When my sister-in-law saw our neighbor's daughter, who had no fetal heartbeat detected at 6 weeks of pregnancy but had a normal checkup at 8 weeks and later gave birth to a healthy child, she instantly filled with hatred toward me. She held a kitchen knife and screamed at me. The doctor must have misdiagnosed me back then. It's all your fault for making me get an abortion. If I had given birth to the child, they would be old enough to run errands by now. Go to hell. Go and keep my child company. A person gone mad has immense strength. Holding a chair, I couldn't hold her off and desperately tried to open the door opened a crack, and my brother was standing outside. He slammed the door shut again and leaned against it. My sister-in-law seized the opportunity, stabbing my abdomen again and again. Thinking of my past life, I feel a deep hatred for my sister-in-law and brother in my heart. Since you think it's a misdiagnosis, then do as you please. I won't interfere anymore, I spoke up. Sister-in-law, I've never given birth, so I don't understand these matters. You and Mom can discuss what to do. There's no need to ask me. In this life, let me see what kind of outcome you'll have for not listening to the doctor's advice. My sister-in-law seemed a bit surprised to hear me say that. She tentatively asked, Ying, aren't you going to persuade me to have an abortion? My brow suddenly twitched. Why would she ask that? I looked at her, a slight curve at the corner of her mouth, her gaze deep and heavy, a flicker of hatred flashing briefly in her eyes. The fear of being stabbed and powerless to resist flooded my mind. Could it be that my sister-in-law has also been reborn? I lowered my gaze, clenching my fists nervously. I wanted to advise her, but Mom has given birth to 2 children, so she has more experience. As someone who doesn't even have a boyfriend, I have no say in the matter. She stared at me intently, then broke into a smile. Even if you tried to persuade me, I wouldn't listen to you anymore. Hearing this, what else could I not understand? My sister-in-law had indeed been reborn. After being reborn, her obsession with the child in her womb grew even deeper. My brother was still sitting on the sofa smoking, while my mother smiled and clasped her hands together. The doctor just misdiagnosed you. Don't go for prenatal checkups anymore to scare yourself. My old friend has an ancient method that can ensure the baby in your womb develops healthily, guaranteeing that our Lee family will give birth to a dragon son. My sister-in-law gazed tenderly at her belly and gently stroked it. Good baby, this time Mommy won't give up on you again. Looking at the crazy family, I chose to keep my mouth shut. Early the next morning, my mother brought a bowl of dark, sticky paste to my sister-in-law and smiled mysteriously. Drink this bowl quickly, and I guarantee this pregnancy will result in a dragon son. Looking at that bowl of hard-to-swallow paste, my sister-in-law hesitated, unable to bring herself to drink it. It's already almost June. There's no time to have a child in the year of the dragon. How could it be a dragon child? My mother laughed nonchalantly. No need to worry about that. 7 months is viable, 8 months is not. If the child is born a bit early, we can still make it. I was somewhat shocked inside. To have a child in the year of the dragon, they were actually considering a premature birth. Having lived through my previous life, I knew it was best for me to keep quiet, stand by, and mind my own business. I just secretly mocked. Mom, you're such a clever little thing, my mother said proudly. Of course, your mom may not have much education, but my mind is definitely sharp. My sister-in-law glanced at me, and my mother added, I drank this when I was pregnant with Li Chang. Look how strong he is now. When I was pregnant with Li Ying, I didn't drink it, and that's how she turned out. Don't worry, drink it. Mom wouldn't harm you. Hearing my mother's disdain for me, my sister-in-law laughed, pinched her nose, and took a big gulp, watching the black liquid seep from the corner of her mouth. I couldn't help but shudder. My mother is a rural woman with little education and a bit of a preference for sons over daughters. I did fairly well in my studies. When my brother failed to get into university, the only time my mother showed foresight was when she discussed with my father that as long as I was willing to study, they would support me through college. For this reason alone, I am grateful to her, which is why I never thought about escaping my family of origin. As for her hurtful words and ignorant ideas, I choose to remain silent. After drinking it, my sister-in-law felt a bit nauseous. My mother patted her back and said, first time is awkward, second time is familiar, you'll get used to it after drinking more. That's how it was for me back then. My sister-in-law frowned and said, all right, I'll listen to you, Mom, for the sake of my son. Drinking this is nothing. Her eyes shone with determination. I shook my head inwardly but smiled on the surface, saying, sister-in-law, you can do it. But unexpectedly, that very night, my sister-in-law started having stomach pains. My sister-in-law had eaten something bad and kept running to the bathroom. Thinking of that bowl of porridge, she weakly curled up on the sofa and questioned my mother. Mom, what you gave me to drink wasn't clean, it made me sick. My mom was unwilling to take responsibility and immediately jumped to her feet. What do you mean it's not clean? I used to drink it like this all the time, and nothing ever happened. It's just that you young people have weak stomachs nowadays. You must have eaten something cold. It couldn't possibly be because of my bowl of porridge. My sister-in-law was too weak to argue and looked at my brother, hoping he would say something in her defense, but my brother didn't pick up on the deeper meaning in her gaze. Still playing with his phone, he said carelessly, you're making such a big deal out of it. If you can't drink it, then don't. Why blame Mom? My mother muttered under her breath that if she didn't want to drink, so be it, and that she had no idea how much effort had been put into caring for her, only knowing how to complain. My sister-in-law's face turned as pale as paper, and she didn't even have the strength to argue. Then, clutching her stomach, her features twisted in pain, my stomach hurt so much. Take me to the hospital quickly, but my mother and brother completely ignored her. Suffering, only complaining that she was being too dramatic and telling her to just bear with it. To be honest, in my previous life, I couldn't stand the way my brother and my mother acted, always siding with my sister-in-law, but what I got in return was a stab in the back. No matter how much she's suffering now, I can't bring myself to feel even a shred of pity. Finally, my sister-in-law turned her pleading gaze toward me. Aren't you afraid something might happen to the baby in my belly? Inging, take me to the hospital, quick. My mother glared at me. If you dare to act on your own again, I'll break your legs. As long as I have that bowl of porridge, the child will be perfectly fine. If you have diarrhea, I'll get you some dirt to eat. That stuff cures it. I had already upset them by taking my sister-in-law for her prenatal checkup this morning. Watching my sister-in-law in pain, I hardened my heart and threw up my hands. Sister-in-law, we agreed to listen to Mom in everything. Mom definitely has a way to make you better. The light in my sister-in-law's eyes dimmed. My mom acted as soon as she said she would, finding an old earthen house in the village and digging up a bag of sandy soil for my sister-in-law. Eat more, and I guarantee you'll feel better soon. My sister-in-law still wanted to resist. Inging, why don't you go buy me some diarrhea medicine instead? My mother directly shoved the dirt into her mouth. Does buying medicine not cost money? Do you even know how to manage a household? I chimed in. Exactly, sister-in-law. Buying medicine is a waste of money, and besides, it's already 9 p.m., the pharmacies are all closed. Listen to Mom, she won't steer you wrong. My mother wouldn't allow my sister-in-law to resist, and after stuffing dirt into her mouth, she held it tightly shut. Hurry up and eat, there's still plenty in the bag, I thought to myself silently. Sister-in-law, don't blame me for being heartless. Who made you even more ruthless than me in the past? I won't help you again. After all, you've also been reborn, and all the suffering you face is the result of your own choices. But I never expected that this method would actually cure my sister-in-law's diarrhea by sheer coincidence. Not only did my sister-in-law's diarrhea get better, but she also developed a taste for eating dirt. After finishing the bag of dirt my mom had scraped off, she even went to the old house herself to scrape more dirt to eat. She ate it with great relish and even grabbed a handful to ask me. I never thought dirt could taste so good. Do you want to try some? I shook my head, watching her eat happily, and decided not to tell her that this pica was due to iron deficiency and that she needed to supplement iron. My mother saw my sister-in-law idle and not doing anything, and couldn't stand it. For the past few months, my hometown has been bathed in bright sunshine, without a single drop of rain. My mother pulled my sister-in-law and called her to help water the fields. My sister-in-law said in a daze, Mom, I'm pregnant, you should have Liang do this work. Clearly, my freeloading, mooching older brother was also lounging around in the room, yet neither of them dared to order him around. I curled my lips and said, Sister-in-law, why are you so lazy? Just because you're pregnant, you think you're the queen. Are you going to ride roughshod over my mom from now on? Upon hearing the provocation, my mother was furious. How dare she? Our Lee family doesn't support freeloaders. Swear, come with me to the fields right now, or you won't get any lunch. My sister-in-law was very reluctant, yet she didn't dare to call out to my brother. The child I'm carrying is your Lee family's descendant. How can you all be so careless? What if I fall and something happens to the baby? My mother sneered. Don't be so dramatic. In our day, we worked right through pregnancy and childbirth. Besides, with my secret remedy, even if you fall, the baby will still be healthy. I nodded in agreement. Exactly, sister-in-law. You need to exercise during pregnancy. If you're lazy, the baby will be lazy too. Hurry up and get moving. My sister-in-law glared at me. Inging, you're deliberately not helping me, aren't you? Still holding a grudge over what happened in our past life. I'm telling you, you better not mess with me. If I could stab you once, I can stab you again. I frowned, realizing that my fear of her had faded. Sister-in-law, don't you want what's best for the baby in your belly? If you just sleep and eat at home all day, how healthy can the fetus possibly be? Then I called out to my older brother inside the house. Brother, since sister-in-law is pregnant and can't work, don't sleep anymore. Hurry up and go water the fields. My brother had never done much work since he was young, and hearing this, he immediately got angry. He rushed out of the house, pointed at sister-in-law's nose, and scolded. Even if you're carrying a dragon child, you can't act like An empress, you just got pregnant and already refused to work, are you trying to rebel? My sister-in-law immediately trembled with fear, not daring to defy my brother, and obediently took the farming tools to work. My sister-in-law's family only has a sick elderly mother, and her family cannot stand up for her, so in this household, she can only endure everything without resistance, not even daring to consider divorce. Thinking of her earlier threat, I said to my brother with a provocative tone, "Brother, you can't spoil your wife just because she's pregnant. Tasks like washing clothes and feeding the livestock won't tire out a pregnant woman." My brother waved his hand impatiently. I know, your sister-in-law is pregnant, so make sure to send more money home from now on." "Got it," I said okay out loud, but in my heart, I was already planning to cut off the financial support to my family ever since I started working. I've been sending 4,000 yuan home every month without fail. Thinking about how my brother leaned against the door in my previous life, cutting off my lifeline, I grit my teeth with hatred for him, still trying to leech off me. Dream on. Later, my sister-in-law got up at 5 a.m. to work in the fields, came back to cook for the whole family, and then did the household chores. It's truly despicable for the whole family to gang up and bully a pregnant woman, but I felt a sense of relief. The family still relies on my financial support, so my mother is relatively lenient with me. She would never assign me tasks that my sister-in-law could do. Without the tragedy of losing the dragon child in my previous life, my brother harbored no resentment toward me. I usually boss my sister-in-law around, saying the food she cooks isn't tasty, the floor isn't mopped clean enough, and things like that. My sister-in-law feels extremely resentful. But every time she tries to stand up for herself, my mom shuts her down with a sharp rebuke. "What are you yelling at? Inging for, she sends money home every month. Can you do that? Useless thing. If you don't know your place, I'll have my son keep the child and leave you." If it were anyone else, they would have already fought with my mom and asked my brother for a divorce, but my sister-in-law didn't dare. She could only endure it, only watch me with disdain, yet unable to do anything about me. My sister-in-law, unable to stand me, spread rumors about me in the village. She said the reason I could earn money was because I was being kept by men outside. Otherwise, how could a girl make any money? The money I earned wasn't clean. After I found out, I had a big argument with her, causing the whole village to come and watch the drama. She stubbornly insisted she was right. Am I wrong? How old are you already? With no boyfriend and not married, what else could it be if not being kept? Can money earned as a mistress be clean? I'm so angry I could laugh every month. Besides sending money home, I also pay for all the household necessities. Now she's using what I provide and still spreading rumors about me. Fine, if you think my money is dirty, then don't use it anymore. My sister-in-law didn't take my words seriously, giving the family a few scraps, and you still have the nerve to say that. That day, my sister-in-law and I had a complete falling out. I had taken a few extra days off this time because of the Dragon Boat Festival. If it weren't for my sister-in-law being pregnant, I wouldn't have come back even if I had the time off. I packed my bags that very night and left my hometown the next day, cutting off all financial support to my family. When payday came later, I didn't send any money home, and my mother called me. "Ying, isn't today your payday? Why haven't you sent the money?" I replied, "My meager earnings aren't worth much in my sister-in-law's eyes." "Right, let her earn you a fortune from now on." My mother immediately became anxious. "You're angry with your sister-in-law, but you can't take it out on us. Your dad and I have sacrificed everything to support your education, and we've given so much for you. Don't become an ungrateful person." My mother favors sons over daughters, but she is well aware that her precious son is good for nothing and unreliable. She made me go to college so that I could earn more money in the future and support them in their old age. The money I sent home, my parents also said it was earned by my brother, not wanting others to look at their son with judgmental eyes. For their sake, I lived frugally myself, hardly buying any new clothes throughout the year. Now, having been reborn, I've come to understand life is short. One must learn to be good to oneself. I put the new clothes I just bought into the washing machine and said to my mom, "Mom, I will definitely take care of you and Dad. I'll send you money every month according to the national standard for alimony. Don't worry." My mom knew the alimony wasn't high, but she held back and didn't say much, just hung up the phone. I was a bit surprised that she didn't scold me. Not long after, my mom sent me several short videos. The red, swollen mark on my sister-in-law's face was clearly visible. In the video, I could also hear my mother yelling at my sister-in-law, "You talk too much. Hurry up and apologize to Ying. If it weren't for Ying sending money home every month, would you be living so comfortably now?" 4,000 yuan isn't a huge amount, but it's enough for them to eat and drink. Well, in the countryside, my dad works at the construction site and won't be home all day. He saves all his money to buy a house for my brother, while my money goes toward household expenses. Without my financial support, my dad wouldn't be able to save any money. My sister-in-law covered her face and sobbed in the video, "Inging, I was wrong. Please don't hold it against me." My mother's voice was stern. "Kneel down and kowtow to Inging, and show some sincerity." My brother chimed in from the side, "Are you deaf? Can't you hear what mom is saying?" My sister-in-law knelt down with a look of humiliation, bowing her head. "Inging, I was wrong. I won't gossip anymore." I turned off the video, feeling a pang of sympathy for my sister-in-law's restraint to avoid angering them. I still sent them 1,000 back, lying that the company wasn't doing well. There were layoffs, I was laid off, and had no money. My mother believed it. After that, I lied to her saying I had found a job, but could only start from scratch, with a monthly salary of only $3,000. After deducting rent and living expenses, I could only give them $1,000. My mother could accept that, as long as I was still under her control. Every month, my mom calls me to chat, following her home remedies for eating and drinking. My sister-in-law's belly gradually grew, and she said the baby was absorbing nutrients exceptionally well. Once, my sister-in-law sent me a photo of her big belly, boasting to me, "Look how big my belly is. The little one must be quite heavy." "Inging, you tricked me into having an abortion in my past life. Do you realize your mistake now?" What could I say when she was so smug? Time flew by, and as the year of the dragon was about to end, my mother announced that my sister-in-law would undergo a cesarean section, urging me to rush home to witness it. At that time, my sister-in-law's belly was alarmingly large, with blood vessels clearly visible on her skin. After the hospital examination, the doctor looked grave. "The patient's condition is very complex. The fetus has already died in the womb, and the abdomen is filled with fluid and ovarian cysts, possibly containing tumors. We need to drain the fluid first and then proceed with further diagnosis." As soon as the words were spoken, the whole family erupted in anger. My mother immediately flared up. "What nonsense are you talking? I asked the hospital to perform a C-section for my daughter-in-law. How could it be a tumor in her belly? You quack doctor must have gotten in through connections, cursing my family's precious son here." My brother also lashed out. "Stop cursing my son. If the baby were dead in the womb, would my wife's belly be this big? Can't your hospital find a reliable doctor? Are you trying to bully us country folks?" I stood silently on the side, afraid their anger might turn toward me. The doctor saw they were being unreasonable and patiently explained again that the bloated belly was due to fluid buildup, not pregnancy. My mother and brother wouldn't listen. How could it not be pregnancy? I had a fortune teller read the signs, and he said my daughter-in-law is carrying a boy, healthy, smart, and destined for great things. Are you just jealous and refusing to perform a C-section? My brother chimed in from the side, and the two of them kept arguing loudly, their voices booming. The doctor was very helpless and eventually stopped even explaining. The doctor's helpless attitude made my mother even angrier. "What kind of attitude is this from your hospital? Are you looking down on us? We want to change hospitals, so hurry up and refund us the money for the hospitalization and tests." My sister-in-law walked out of the ward looking completely bewildered, having not heard what the doctor had just said. My mother grabbed my sister-in-law's hand. "If it weren't for the fact that the due date hasn't arrived yet, I wouldn't have come to beg you doctors. I could have delivered the baby myself." Then she instructed my brother and me, "Take Sawyer to another hospital. I'm going to argue with them here and get the hospitalization and examination fees back." My mother switched into a shrewish mode, crying, making a scene, and rolling on the ground, demanding that the hospital refund the fees. The medical staff were completely overwhelmed. After leaving the hospital, my sister-in-law finally realized and asked, "Chenzi, why did we have to change hospitals? Was the C-section too expensive?" My brother looked displeased as he explained the whole story from beginning to end. When my sister-in-law heard it was a stillbirth, her legs went weak. If my brother hadn't supported her, she would have collapsed on the spot. She murmured, "Impossible, impossible. The doctor must have misdiagnosed again. My son is not a stillbirth." Seeing her refusal to accept the truth, I couldn't help but sneer. She didn't care about her own health, yet she was so fixated on that non-existent son. "It's really absurd." I hit her where it hurts. "Sister-in-law, how can there be so many misdiagnoses?" Sister-in-law stood up, supporting her waist, with two clear tears slowly streaming down. "She no longer cares what I say now, just pulling my brother along quickly. Let's try another hospital." All the way there, my brother kept cursing the doctors, while my sister-in-law seemed dazed, muttering impossible over and over. At the maternity hospital, after a whole day of running around, the result was the same. The doctor looked at them in disbelief. "Didn't you get any prenatal checkups during the pregnancy? From what I can see, the fetus stopped developing around 9 weeks, and you still thought you could have a C-section. The patient's condition is critical now, and there is strong suspicion of a tumor in the abdomen. We cannot perform such surgery here. You need to go to a cancer hospital immediately." Both hospitals gave the same explanation. My sister-in-law broke down, screaming hoarsely, "You doctors are all liars. I'm pregnant with a son, not a tumor." My sister-in-law caused a scene at this hospital, while my mother did the same at the other hospital, both equally unreasonable. It took me a great deal of effort to pull her out of the hospital. My sister-in-law broke down crying, while my brother stood by, smoking irritably. "You've got a tumor, and the surgery is going to cost a fortune. What a waste of money," he said. "These past couple of days, watching this drama has put me in a good mood," I calmly replied to my brother. "The surgery will probably cost at least 100 or 200,000. What? So much money? Even selling her wouldn't fetch that much." My sister-in-law looked at my brother with tear-filled eyes. "Chenzi, you'll get me treatment, right?" My brother roared angrily. "Can you stop ruining me? You can't even give me a child, and now you want me to spend money on your treatment. How could such a good thing happen? Let's get a divorce." After a long day of causing a scene at the hospital, my mom came home and, upon learning that the doctor had not misdiagnosed, made the same decision as my brother. "My son is in the prime of his life and can't be dragged down by you. Tomorrow, you and my son should go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce." My mom quickly packed my sister-in-law's luggage and threw it in front of her. "You know our family's situation. We don't have much money. We really can't afford to treat your illness, so you'll have to figure it out on your own." My sister-in-law couldn't believe it, never expecting my mother and brother to be so cold-blooded and heartless. "You can't treat me like this. I drank folk remedies every day to conceive a son, and it was you who made me get cancer. When the prenatal checkup showed the fetus had stopped developing, you said it was a misdiagnosis. If I had aborted the fetus back then, I wouldn't have cancer now." My brother blew out a puff of smoke and spat toward my sister-in-law. "Back then, it was you who said you felt the fetal movement and couldn't bear to abort it. How can you blame us now?" My mom chimed in. "Exactly. We were deceived by you too. We've been taking good care of you all this time, going through all the trouble to make you nutritious porridge. Where can I go to voice my grievances?" My sister-in-law pointed at them with trembling hands. You are really going too far." Then she turned to me, clutching my sleeve. "Ying, you wouldn't just stand by and watch me suffer, right? My mom is seriously ill and needs medication every month. I have no money. You'll help me, won't you? Please take me to the hospital for surgery. The doctor said I'll die if this continues. Now you remember me, huh?" I shook off her hand and looked at her coldly, regretting it now. Too late. That evening, my mother drove my sister-in-law out of the house. My sister-in-law kept holding my hand, confessing, "Ying, I treated you so badly in my past life. Please forgive me." "Okay, I know you're kind-hearted and wouldn't leave me to die, right? Give me 100,000 yuan, and after I finish the surgery, I'll serve you like a slave for the rest of my life." Seeing that I remained silent, she knelt directly before me, kowtowing repeatedly, her words echoing over and over, "Ying, I beg you." Her belly was already quite large, and seeing her kowtow with such difficulty moved me deeply. "In my past life, you stabbed me more than 10 times. Do you know how much that hurt? I can't let it go." She trembled all over, her face filled with despair, looking utterly pitiful. I took out my phone and transferred 50,000 yuan to her through Alipay. "I only have 50,000, you take it. The rest you'll have to borrow on your own, if the surgery goes well. Remember, it was my money that saved your life. It was my mom and brother who kicked you out. You should know who to blame and who to be grateful for." After receiving the money, her eyes welled up with tears. "Thank you. If I could go back in time, I would definitely listen to your advice again." I could tell she meant it, but how many what-ifs are there in life? She looked toward the room with a complicated expression. My brother and my mother were watching TV, laughing heartily at the funny parts. The warmth inside contrasted sharply with her desolation, filling her with resentment. Then, with her big belly, she dragged her luggage and trudged forward with difficulty. Helping her wasn't out of kindness, but to fuel her resentment toward my brother and mother. The next morning at breakfast, I pretended to be timid and said to my brother, "Brother, yesterday my sister-in-law forced me to give her money for the surgery. She threatened to kill me if I didn't. The 50,000 yuan I had saved was originally meant for you, but she took my phone and transferred it all away." As soon as I finished speaking, my brother slammed the table and stood up, pointing at my head and scolding, "How can you be so cowardly? How could you let yourself be threatened right at your own doorstep? Damn it, that bitch dares to take my money. I'll beat her to death." My mother was also furious. "I'll go with you to find her. We must get that 50,000 yuan back." I pretended to persuade him, "Brother, sister-in-law already has cancer, and she's very fragile. Please don't act impulsively." My brother glared at me. "You're such a coward. I don't need you to tell me what to do, Mom. Let's go find that bitch." With that, the two of Them hurriedly got into the van. I asked them to take me along, but they thought I was useless and simply started the car and drove off to watch the drama unfold. I had no choice but to chase after them on my electric scooter. My sister-in-law's family lived not far from our village, and we arrived in less than 20 minutes. When I arrived, my brother and the others had already started. My brother slapped my sister-in-law's face fiercely. "We're about to get divorced, and you still want to take my family's money, you bitch. Give me the money back now." Many villagers from our own village were gathered at the door, watching the commotion. A man tried to intervene. "Hey, your wife is pregnant. How can you hit her?" "My brother, Pa, she's pregnant. My foot. The dead fetus has been in her belly for months. It's already rotting." People around whispered among themselves. "If she's not pregnant, how can her belly be so big?" "Who are you trying to fool?" my mother replied. "The doctor said her belly is full of fluid, and there might be a tumor inside." What a sin. Our family has always been kind to others. How did my son end up marrying such a filthy woman? "My brother, hurry up and give us back the money, otherwise, we'll smash your house." The 5-finger mark on my sister-in-law's face was clearly visible. "Li Chang, how can you be so heartless? You abandoned me just because I have cancer. What woman would dare marry you in the future?" The argument grew more and more heated, and my brother tried to hit her a few more times but was stopped by the villagers. I pretended to be anxious. "Brother, stop hitting sister-in-law." Then, I shielded sister-in-law and whispered in her ear, "Sister-in-law, I'm sorry." My brother peeked at my phone and saw the transfer I made to you. Her suspicion of me vanished instantly. While my brother was arguing with the villagers, she picked up a hoe from the yard and swung it at him. I exclaimed but didn't stop him. "Brother, be careful." It was too late. My brother's head was struck by the hoe, blood gushing out. He staggered, his eyes momentarily dazed. What a delightful sight to see. My mother panicked, screaming as she lunged at my sister-in-law, scratching and clawing at her. After my brother snapped out of it, he flew into a rage and kicked her hard in the stomach. My sister-in-law threw down the hoe, picked up a sickle, and started swinging it wildly. All 3 of them were in a frenzied state. Villagers tried to intervene, but the 3 of them continued to attack each other in their madness. I instinctively kept my distance from the battlefield, watching with great interest. The farce didn't last long. My sister-in-law slashed my brother's arms and legs several times with a sickle, leaving him covered in blood. My mother had several scratches on her face. With the lightest injuries, my sister-in-law had her stomach kicked open and lay on the ground, groaning in agony. Her phone fell to the ground. My brother, enduring the pain, picked it up, roughly grabbed her hand to press her fingerprint, and transferred 50,000 yuan to his account. Still cursing under his breath, he muttered, "If you've got cancer, just hurry up and die. What's the point of wasting money on treatment?" Those words cut deep into my sister-in-law. She glared at him with hatred in her eyes, then grabbed the sickle again. While my brother was fiddling with his phone, she swung it toward his neck. "You won't let me live, then you won't live either. In our past life, you ordered me to kill your sister. The one who deserves to die the most is you. Die, die." Everyone scrambled to get out of the way, but my brother was slashed across the throat. My mother let out a scream. "Chengzi." It was too late. My brother clutched his neck in agony and collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. My sister-in-law laughed hysterically and stabbed him a few more times. My mother lost her mind, picked up the original hoe, and swung it at my sister-in-law's head. The villagers were all terrified and didn't dare to stop them for a moment. Then my sister-in-law fell to the ground unwillingly, muttering, "If I had another chance, I would kill both you and your son." My brother and sister-in-law died, and the police arrived late. My mother held my brother and cried bitterly, while I knelt beside her, crying along. But in reality, I felt extremely relieved inside. The 2 people who harmed me in my past life are dead. I no longer have a brother, so I don't have to be a brother supporter anymore. As for my mother, I'll only be able to see her in prison from now on. I'm so happy. When the police were about to arrest my mother, she suddenly sobered up, pointed her finger at me, and loudly protested her innocence. "I didn't kill anyone. It was my daughter who did it. If you want to arrest someone, arrest her." She panicked and tried to flee, but was easily caught by the police and handcuffed. Did she think the dozens of villagers were blind, openly slandering me like that? Nevertheless, I still pretended to have a deep mother-daughter bond. "Officer, my mom didn't mean to." In the end, my mom was still taken away. My dad rushed home from the construction site, already looking older than his peers from years of hard labor under the sun and wind. His back seemed to collapse the moment he saw my brother was gone. After my brother's funeral, he sat on a stool in front of the door, smoking. "Without my son, I am his last hope." He spoke wearily, Ying, "From now on, it's just the 2 of us, father and daughter, depending on each other." I softly replied, He sighed. "A few days ago, I had a nightmare where your sister-in-law stabbed you to death and went to prison. I never thought that nightmare was a warning. It's my fault for not taking it seriously, because it wasn't his son who died in the dream, so he didn't take it to heart, but it doesn't matter now. The one living well is me. My father can support himself. And I no longer have to subsidize the family. In the future, I will live well for myself. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My mom spent $200,000 on a jade pendant. She excitedly told me to drip my blood on it, saying it would protect our whole family. If you drip it on, our family will have great luck. I, in turn, switched it out for pig's blood. Want to trade your life for mine, but I'm a demon that crawled out of hell. My mom went traveling to the border and brought back a half-meter-long jade tablet. She treasured that jade tablet like a precious artifact. I was afraid she'd been scammed, so I took a picture and posted it online for help. Sure enough, netizens all said it was dyed quartzite, not even worth a few $100s, but my mom spent $200,000. That $200,000 was for the renovation of my new house. I was furious and pulled out my phone to call the police. My mom stopped me. What do you know? This jade pendant can bless the whole family. At the time, I just thought she had been scammed, and all I could think about was how to get back the $200,000. I wasn't paying attention and let her drip my blood on the jade pendant. Before long, our family actually started to have good luck. The dilapidated house in my hometown was demolished, and we received millions in compensation. My good-for-nothing brother won a $10 million lottery, and even my sister-in-law, who had been infertile for years, gave birth to twins. The jade pendant really seemed to bless the whole family, except for me. I lost my job. The house I bought with all my savings became an unfinished building, and my husband was in a car accident. When I was gravely ill and became a shadow of my former self, I heard my mother's triumphant voice from outside the door. This jade pendant is truly spiritual. I can't believe that wretched girl has such good fortune. Once she dies, our family won't have any lives left to exchange. Then came my brother Tom's sneer. What do you mean none? Doesn't she still have a daughter? That's when I realized I was the one who had been deceived. Thinking of my 7-year-old daughter, I was filled with grief and indignation. I struggled to escape but was discovered by them and suffocated to death. Our family was ruined, and they were living happily, stepping on our bones. You dead girl, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and drop the blood. Seeing me in a daze, my mother impatiently pinched me. Don't say I don't love you. If you drop it, it can bless your whole family. Really? I clenched my knuckles and forced a smile through gritted teeth. Of course, she glanced at me and feigned a sigh. If I didn't see you struggling so much, would I be worrying this much? Who else but your own mother would care for you like this? Don't let my efforts be in vain. She spoke with genuine emotion. In my previous life, I was deceived by her acting, believing she truly had my best interests at heart. What was the result? I feigned emotion and said, can it really protect me? Mom, you're too good to me. She curled her lips in satisfaction. I'm your mother. Why would I lie to you? I pretended to cut my arm with a knife, but secretly squeezed the blood bag I had hidden in my sleeve. As she watched excitedly, just as the blood was about to drip onto the jade pendant, I suddenly pulled my hand back, feigning hesitation. Maybe I shouldn't. This is all superstition. I think I'll just call the police instead. The duck she had in hand flew away. How could she be willing? She immediately picked up the jade token to catch the blood flowing from my wrist, not noticing at all that the blood wasn't coming from my wound. The blood dripped onto the jade token and instantly disappeared. I wondered if it was my imagination, but the patterns on the jade token seemed to deepen. It's done. It's done. My mom excitedly bowed to it again and again, unable to suppress the smile at the corners of her mouth. Noticing her lapse, she coughed, hiding her smile. Good daughter, hurry home and wait for good luck to come. After speaking, she turned and left, humming a cheerful tune as she went. She didn't know that what I gave her was pig's blood. I was reborn on my way to her house. After realizing I had been reborn, I decisively turned around and went to a pig farm in the suburbs, carefully selecting a sick pig that was about to be culled. In the evening, after coaxing my daughter to sleep, I searched online for information related to jade plaques and life swapping. Every evil art has its counter. Perhaps there's a way to counteract this life swapping sorcery. I opened my phone's photo album, found that picture, and as I looked at it, I suddenly felt that the patterns on the jade plaque looked familiar, as if I had seen them somewhere before. Where was it? Fragmented images flashed through my mind. I tried my best to recall, but my head throbbed with pain, as if an invisible barrier was blocking me, preventing me from exploring even a tiny bit. A crying sound suddenly appeared in my ears. The crying was urgent and sharp, as if filled with endless resentment. I woke up in a panic, the sound coming from the children's room. Without thinking, I rushed to my daughter's room. Anna sat on the head of the bed with her back to me, her upper body leaning forward. Don't cry. I'll sing for you. Okay. The stars in the sky twinkle. The baby's on the ground, don't speak, a childish voice echoed in the room, she sang earnestly, her head swaying like a rattle drum. I quickly walked over, but there was nothing there but a pillow, not even a ghost. This was too strange. I forced a smile. Anna, who are you talking to? The singing stopped, and Anna turned around. Mommy, was my singing good? Yes, it was, but why won't my brother smile? She was terribly disappointed, her dark pupils fixed on me. My brother keeps crying. Brother, I swallowed. Where is my brother? A cold gust of wind suddenly swept across the back of my neck. Mom, I'm right here. I suddenly opened my eyes and quickly looked around. I was still in the master bedroom, and George was lying next to me. The morning sun streamed in, dispelling the chill from my body. Another dream. I touched my cold neck, and that eerie child's voice seemed to echo in my ears again. Mommy, Mommy. I rushed to Anna's bedroom. My daughter was sleeping, a tiny bundle in her blanket, a sweet smile still on her lips. I breathed a sigh of relief, and my heart softened. At the same time, a question arose. Who is the boy in the dream? Why did my heart ache uncontrollably every time I thought of him? Wife, what's wrong? George walked out, his eyes still heavy with sleep. I looked at him with mixed emotions, speechless for a moment. In my previous life, if it weren't for me holding him back, how could such a good person have died tragically under the wheels of a car? I shook my head. Just had a nightmare. He didn't say anything, just gently hugged me. George wasn't good with words. I knew he was comforting me in his own way. We went from school uniforms to wedding dresses, having been in love for over a decade, and our relationship had always been great. In the 3rd year of our marriage, we had Anna, our little angel. If it weren't for being framed, we would have been the happiest family. Fortunately, heaven had eyes and gave me a chance to live again. This time, I will protect them with all my might. At 7:30, I went to wake Anna up as usual, but no matter how I called, she wouldn't wake up. Anna, Anna. Anna's eyes were tightly shut. I shook her shoulder, but she didn't react at all. George heard the commotion and rushed over. He picked up the child and immediately declared, to the hospital. My best friend Lisa is a pediatrician at the city hospital, young, accomplished, and highly skilled, but at this moment, she looked at Anna's examination report with a serious expression. According to the examination results, Anna is a very healthy child, with no issues in any of her indicators. George didn't believe it. Then why has she been in a coma? Is there something wrong with the equipment, or is there something you haven't checked? Please take another look. Don't worry, a neurological consultation will be arranged this afternoon. But, Zhao Qing was puzzled. Anna's condition is just like she's simply fallen asleep. But how could someone who's asleep not be woken up? I was about to speak when I saw Anna's lips move. Anna. The remaining words froze on my lips, and I clearly saw a fleeting smile appear on Anna's face. Anna loved to smile. Her smiles were cute and sweet, warming the heart and melting it away, but this smile now was eerie, terrifying, sending shivers down my spine. It was as if it came from a completely different person, or, perhaps, not human. Wife, what's wrong? Suddenly, the glowing green jade pendant, and the invisible child screaming mommy at me, flashed through my mind. I shivered. What if what I saw last night wasn't a dream? No, impossible. This life, I clearly didn't drip my blood on the jade token, so how could that thing still be haunting us? My face turned pale, and I took several deep breaths before steadying myself. George quickly supported me. Wife, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I grabbed his hand and exhaled deeply. If I told you I was reborn, would you believe me? George looked into my eyes and was silent for 3 seconds. He said, I believe you. Originally, I hadn't intended to tell him about being reborn. It was too unbelievable, and the fewer people who knew, the better, but I didn't expect the jade pendant to be so evil. I clearly avoided it, but it still latched onto Anna. I told him about my past life. The more he listened, the more his brows furrowed. Suddenly, he pulled out his phone and started scrolling through his contacts. If medicine doesn't work, then we'll try metaphysics. George works for a renovation company, and a year ago they took on a villa project in the suburbs. Everything was going well at first, but then a worker hanged himself from a beam just as they were nearing completion. George told me at the time that it was a suicide, but the truth is, he was possessed. In the end, their boss had to hire a real estate agent to sort things out. A real estate agent? George shook his head. He's not an ordinary real estate agent. He specializes in selling haunted houses, and at a high price too. I thought that was absurd. People buy haunted houses to get a lower price. Would anyone buy one at a high price? He lowered his voice. The master has his ways. When he sells it, it won't be a haunted house anymore. That afternoon, the master arrived. The master's name was Sam, a young man in his 20s with a square face, a middle part, a black suit, and a brown leather bag. He looked like an ordinary real estate agent. He let out a surprised "huh" the moment he saw me. George asked him what was wrong, and he shook his head. Let's go see the child first. But I felt a Little flustered, that one glance always made me feel like he saw right through me. He first lit a white candle in each of the 4 corners of the room, then took out a porcelain bowl from his leather bag, and then a bottle. Pouring the red liquid inside into the bowl, he dipped his 5 fingers into the liquid in the bowl and sprinkled it on Anna's face. He then lit 3 incense sticks. The candles began to smoke, and 4 streams of smoke converged on the incense. He held the incense and swayed his head at Anna. Amidst the swirling smoke, a black mist appeared around Anna, and within the mist, a male doll was clinging to Anna, his hands tightly covering her eyes. Seeing us look at him, he suddenly turned his head and snarled at us menacingly. I was so scared that I took 2 steps back, and when I looked again, the mist had dispersed. Sam frowned. This mischievous child is playing hide-and-seek with your daughter. If they find me, I'll have to go down and join him. Sam asked me to buy a rooster from the market. After draining its blood, he soaked a nylon rope in it. He then wrapped Anna in a bedsheet and tied her up with the nylon rope. Then he cut off a lock of Anna's hair and stuffed it into her favorite doll, and drew symbols on the doll. After all this was done, Anna stirred. Although she was still asleep, her complexion had improved significantly. I looked at my sleeping daughter, still worried. Why is this thing haunting Anna? In my previous life, I was plagued by bad luck because I dripped blood on the jade pendant, but this time I clearly avoided it. Sam frowned. This ghost's resentment towards you is not driven by magic, but comes from himself. George and I were both stunned. How could this be? My mom just brought this jade pendant back yesterday. Why does it hold such a strong grudge against us? That's strange. Sam zoomed in on the photo of the jade pendant, and as he looked, his expression suddenly changed. He said that a certain small border country has a secret method, and this jade pendant, also called an infant pendant, is made by refining the souls of infants who died unjustly into little ghosts. By offering daily sacrifices, one can change their fate. Since it's an offering, it requires sacrifices, and those sacrifices must be the lifespans of living people, especially for those who are more closely related by blood to the offerer. The better the luck brought by the sacrifice. But the jade pendant in my mother's home is different from ordinary infant amulets. Carved on this jade pendant is a kind of sacrificial flower from a certain country, the red lotus naga, which represents a blood connection. Obvious what? Sam glanced at us faintly. It means that this kind of spell requires a blood relationship between the offerer, the sacrifice, and the ghost infant. This kind of sorcery is the most vicious, but also the most effective. That feeling of being isolated outside the barrier came again, and I had a premonition that the answer I sought lay within it, but the intense headache prevented me from thinking at all. George held me, his voice hoarse. Wife, don't think about it. I looked up and realized George's eyes were filled with sorrow. His voice was mournful. He's our biological child. I froze, a more intense headache assailing me. A deliberately sealed memory unlocked. 3 years ago, I was pregnant with my second child. When I was 7 months pregnant, Tom offered to take me for a prenatal checkup, but we got into a car accident on the way, which caused me to go into premature labor. Money flowed out like water, but the child's condition continued to worsen. My best friend, who is a pediatrician, told me directly, every day he lives now is worse than death for him. Watching his tiny body covered in tubes, my heart ached. George and I cried all night, holding each other, and finally decided to stop treatment. We had so many hopes and so much love for this child, giving him the nickname Leo early on, wishing him peace and joy, but we could only watch helplessly as he stopped breathing. That memory was too painful. It constantly reminded me that I wasn't a good mother, that I had personally killed my own child. To move on, I followed my therapist's advice and sealed away that memory. Sam sighed. This child's intelligence hasn't developed yet. It will only feel that you abandoned it, harmed it, and then it was refined into a ghost infant, so naturally, it's filled with resentment towards you. I looked at Anna, tears streaming down her face. It's all my fault. I didn't protect you. I don't deserve to be a mother. George squeezed my hand, his eyes bloodshot. Wife, it's not your fault. If they hadn't harbored ill intentions, Anna and Leo wouldn't have ended up like this. My fingernails dug hard into my palm, but I felt no pain. I know why this pattern looks familiar. Before Leo's burial, my mom covered him with a small blanket, and the pattern on that blanket was the red lotus naga. She wasn't feeling sorry for her grandson. She had her eyes on Leo since then, and Tom, he offered to drive me to my prenatal checkups back then. I thought he had a change of heart, but now that I think about it, maybe that car accident wasn't an accident at all. Hatred swept over me, and my whole body was trembling. They are truly heartless. What did my Leo do wrong again? He hasn't even properly seen this world yet. That ferocious ghost infant appeared before me again, but he used to be such a lovely child. My face filled with sorrow. What will happen to Leo? Will he ever change back? Master, I beg you, please save my child, let him be reborn. Sam couldn't bear it and said, this evil art is very prone to backlash. To suppress it, they must have Leo's ashes. I don't know which method they are using, but as long as I can get the ashes and the jade token, I can send him to reincarnation. Hope rose in my heart. I wiped away my tears, and my emotions gradually calmed down. The jade token is displayed in their home, then Leo's ashes, perhaps they also hid it at home. I asked George to stay and look after Anna, and Sam came with me to find the ashes. He's a professional. If there's anything particular, he'll notice it in time. My home isn't far from my mother's, so I went upstairs first to see if anyone was home. The front door was tightly shut. I wasn't surprised. Tom was rarely home, and my sister-in-law was still at work at this hour. As for my mom, she loved playing mahjong, so she must have been at a friend's house playing at this time. I found the key in a nearby vase, opened the door, and after confirming no one was inside, I called Sam to come up. The living room was pitch black, with only 2 candles on the offering table casting a faint green glow. I turned on the light. Sam stayed in the living room, and I went to the bedroom to search. While I was searching, Sam suddenly called out. I quickly ran over and saw him looking solemn. With anger flashing in his eyes, he pointed to a hidden compartment under the offering table, and inside it was a jade tablet. Unlike the previous one, this jade tablet had no patterns carved on it, and next to it was an empty black bottle. Anna lay there quietly, as if waiting for the next offering. My heart was filled with a chill. Who is this jade tablet prepared for? Sam touched the bottom of the jade pendant. It has that person's birth date and time on it. Seeing the words on it, I widened my eyes in disbelief and said, this is my sister-in-law's birth date and time. He sneered. Your sister-in-law's fate is also extremely precious. One isn't enough, and they still want a second one. They are truly insane. I froze. So they prepared 2 jade pendants, one for me and one for my sister-in-law. But in my previous life, until I died, my sister-in-law was perfectly fine and even pregnant with twins. I shivered. What if they didn't want both? But my sister-in-law's part was a backup. In my previous life, they used my life to change their luck, and with my sister-in-law pregnant with twins, they gave up on using her fate to change their luck. But in this life, they didn't get any advantage from me, so they will definitely reach out to my sister-in-law. This is an evil warding stone. It can suppress the resentment in a soul. Sam's words interrupted my thoughts. He picked up the bottle next to the jade tablet. If I'm not mistaken, Leo's ashes should be in this kind of bottle. Sam and I searched every corner of the house, but we didn't even see a shadow of the bottle. Where else could he be if not home? Just as I was thinking, I suddenly heard the sound of a door opening from outside. Mom, I'm so hungry. Hurry up and get some food. It was Tom's voice. Sam spread his hands at me, and I quickly pulled him into the bedroom and made him hide in the closet. Hide, Sam. I had just stepped out of the living room when I bumped into my mom. She looked at me in surprise. How did you get here? I jingled the keys in my hand. I left my keys here. Just came to look for them. Really? My mom looked at me suspiciously, about to say more but was interrupted by Tom's shouts. Hurry up, are you trying to starve me? His voice was much rougher, perhaps out of urgency. Following the sound, my eyes widened. I remembered Tom being fat, but not this fat. He must have weighed at least 200 pounds now. He was like a 200-pound blob of fat sprawled on the sofa, his head buried in the food, stuffing it into his mouth with grunts and groans while eating. He suddenly looked up, his entire face as fat as a pig's head. How did you get so fat? I couldn't help but ask. What do you know? Being able to eat is a blessing. My mom snorted coldly. These past few days, I had lost several pounds due to worrying too much about the jade pendant. My mom looked at me, then at Tom, and was extremely pleased. You're just unlucky. My son's good fortune is yet to come, she said, implying something. I suddenly thought of the drop of pig blood from before. Could it be that the jade pendant had taken effect? Did he really swap lives with a pig? My heart sank, and I quickly told Sam about it. I wished he would turn into a meat pig to be slaughtered, but I was worried it would affect Leo. Tom ate so fast. My mom's spatula was practically flying trying to keep up with his eating speed. He simply pushed my mom aside and started gnawing on raw meat, the greasy blood dripping from the corners of his mouth and collecting in the folds of his chin. My mom looked like she wanted to say something, but then she just tremblingly reached out. Son, eat slower. While they were in the kitchen, I quickly opened the door and let Sam sneak out. Sis, are you leaving already? Tom's voice suddenly rang out behind me. I turned to look, and he had already finished a whole table of food so quickly that speed is faster than a pig's. He wiped his greasy mouth and let out a burp. A shiver ran down my spine. I found the key. I'll be going now if there's nothing else, my friend Said he saw you at the hospital. Are you sick? Tom looked up and scrutinized me, his gaze as cold and slithery as a snake. My mom also leaned in, a faint expectation hidden in her shrewd eyes. They are all my relatives, yet they wish for my death more than anyone else. My mind raced, and my voice took on a tearful tone. Mom, brother, what should I do? The doctor said I have a terminal illness. Actually, I came today hoping to borrow money from you for treatment. Really? My mom's face almost couldn't hide her joy. Tom nudged her, and only then did she realize. She feigned a sigh. Where would I get the money? You could say this is your fate. Just accept it. Why bother with treatment? It's better to save the money. I've raised you this long. You should leave money for me for my retirement. After she finished speaking, she seemed afraid that I would ask them for money. She pushed me out the door with both hands. Before the door closed, I saw an uncontrollable smile on the corner of her mouth. After leaving my mom's place, I went to find my sister-in-law. I wanted to know how much she knew about the jade pendant. In my memory, my sister-in-law had always been a gentle and kind woman. When she married Tom, I was still in school. My family didn't want me to continue studying, but she used her dowry to support my education. She and Tom hadn't had children for years, and they blamed her for everything. Whenever I felt it was unfair to her, she would always turn around and comfort me, afraid of affecting the relationship between me and them. If she was involved in the conspiracy to murder my family, I wouldn't tell her about the existence of the other jade token. I'm not a saint. I can't be kind enough to save an enemy's life, but what if she's also innocent? I also couldn't bear to watch her tragically walk towards death, just like I did in my previous life. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near her company. I waited there for a while before she rushed over. She looked a bit embarrassed. I'm sorry, Heidi, I was supposed to be off work, but our boss called a last-minute meeting. It's okay, I just got here too. I smiled, but my gaze fell on her flat stomach. I got straight to the point. Sister-in-law, do you know about baby amulets? As I spoke, I observed her reaction. She went from initial confusion and shock to eventual helplessness. She shook her head. Superstition is not advisable. Heidi, are you under too much stress lately? I knew she wouldn't believe me, so I was prepared. I handed her the photo of the jade pendants, 2 jade pendants, one engraved with my birth date and time, and the other with hers. Her hand trembled as she tapped to open the photo. Seeing her disbelief, I actually smiled. Actually, I knew she might not fully believe me with just this, but she wouldn't dare to gamble. Sister-in-law, are you pregnant? She looked at me in shock, her hand instinctively caressing her belly. At the hospital, my best friend once told me that she had seen Tom secretly visit the urology department for infertility, but in my previous life, my sister-in-law clearly had twins, and the timing was about now. If in the previous life it was because my life was swapped, but now the jade token can only be swapped for a pig's life, then my sister-in-law's every move just now was subconsciously protecting her belly. That's a habit only pregnant people have. Then there's only one possibility, I continued. The child isn't Tom's, is it? If he finds out, he'll be even less likely to let you go, Sister Rainey. Even for the sake of the child in your belly, do you dare not believe it? Don't say any more. My sister-in-law lowered her head, sobbing uncontrollably, and I quietly watched her cry. I am also a mother, and I understand that once a woman has a child, she dares not take chances, even for a 1% possibility. Children are both a weakness and armor. Finally, my sister-in-law looked up again, her eyes red, but full of determination. I believe in you. When I was at my mom's house, I saw a necklace on Tom. It was hidden under his clothes, but I could vaguely make out the shape of a bottle. No wonder I couldn't find it anywhere in the house. Who would have thought he was so deranged as to carry Leo's ashes with him? Sam said Leo's matter couldn't be delayed any longer. The longer it dragged on, the stronger Leo's ghostly nature would become, and once he committed a killing, he would lose any chance of reincarnation. Tom could die, but he couldn't die by Leo's hand. He must have carried the necklace with him, and my sister-in-law, being his closest companion, was the most suitable person to do this. Within a few days, my sister-in-law handed me the ashes. Things went smoother than I could have imagined. My sister-in-law looked disgusted. Tom is busy speculating in stocks now, and he also wants to invest in some projects. He daydreams all day and mutters that he will definitely get rich. I think he's really crazy. Get rich? I glanced at the message on my phone and smiled. I guarantee that in this life, he won't just fail to get rich, he'll lose so much he won't even have an ounce of fat left on him. My sister-in-law's expression was complex. After a long moment, she took a deep breath and said, Heidi, I want to divorce him. I really can't take it anymore. I haven't been able to have children all these years we've been married, and they blame all the faults on me. Whenever he's slightly upset, he takes it out on me, calling me a hen that can't lay eggs, and your mother's folk remedies, needles as thick as nails pricking me, those medicines making my whole body swell up, vomiting and diarrhea. I once thought it was really my fault, and I gritted my teeth and endured, but now I know. I'm not wrong. She touched her belly, relieved. Heidi, I've had enough of this kind of life. I held her hand, my gaze sincere. Sister Rainey, you were never wrong. I support your divorce, if he doesn't agree. I thought of something, a fierce look on my face. Then he'll be a widower. Tom firmly believed in the jade pendant's power to bring good luck. Since he thought he was destined to reach the pinnacle of his life, I simply gave him a push. Before I died in my last life, I saw a news report about a middle-aged man who lost everything and committed suicide by jumping off a building because he was scammed. It was said that the man was a professional con artist who disguised himself as a gold medal investor, specifically targeting those who dreamed of getting rich. Overnight, I didn't do much, just put that man's business card in Tom's pocket, and he thought it was a stroke of luck, a special delivery of fortune from heaven. Calculating the time, he should have already sold his house and invested by now. Sam quickly set up the reincarnation ritual, and a circle of white light appeared. Leo's hazy figure appeared in the halo. He was still in the form of a ghost infant, with a ferocious face, black hair, and red eyes. Why did you abandon me? Seeing him like that, my heart was torn. If I hadn't been so trusting of others, if I had discovered Tom's conspiracy earlier, Leo wouldn't have ended up like this. I'm sorry, Leo. Mom is sorry. Tears streamed down my face. Then you come and keep me company. He grinned, extending a hand, his black fingernails sharp as knives. Okay, I smiled and nodded. Sam tried to pull me back, but I dodged him. I walked step by step to his side, and in his surprised gaze, I hugged him tightly, just as I had fantasized countless times before. The anticipated pain of being pierced through didn't come. A sob came from my embrace. Mom, I missed you so much. Leo in my arms was no longer in the form of a ghost child. His face was innocent and lively, no different from other children. He was meant to be this way. Mom, it's time. I have to go. He looked at me reluctantly. I choked up, forcing a smile. Will you be my child again in the next life? Okay. Leo nodded obediently, but Anna suddenly ran out, blinking her round eyes. Mom, where is my brother going? Brother, are you leaving? Aren't you going to play with me anymore? Don't go. I'll sing for you. The stars in the sky twinkle. The dolls on the ground don't speak. Leo reached out his hand from afar, making a gesture as if to pat her head. Sister, don't cry. He waved at us. Goodbye, Mom and Dad. Anna sang while crying, her childish voice echoing in the room. I leaned into George's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Leo, rest assured, I will avenge you. A few more days passed, and then I suddenly received a call from my mom. She was in a panic on the other end of the phone. Heidi, Mom's good daughter, please save me, please save me. Your brother borrowed from loan sharks, and when they couldn't find him, they came for me. They said if I don't pay back the money, they'll break my legs. The background noise was chaotic, and I could faintly hear someone rummaging through boxes and cabinets, along with my mother's screams. Come save me, I'm your real mother. I beg you. It was a scam full of holes, but my mother thought I would definitely believe it. After all, I was her incredibly filial and obedient daughter. I quickly said, Mom, where are you? I'll be right there. George held me back, shaking his head at me. Don't go. I smiled brightly and pushed his hand away. Some things, I just had to end myself. Stepping out, I hailed a taxi by the roadside, to District A, number 13. The man in the driver's seat grunted in response. Looking over, I saw him fully geared up with a hat and mask. Despite the scorching heat meeting his eyes, I felt a sense of familiarity. You are Tom's friend. Before I could finish speaking, a dark figure sprang from the trunk, clamping his hand over my nose, and then I lost consciousness. Mom, a cool breath hit my face. I snapped my eyes open to an old ceiling. This was my childhood home. It was as if I heard calls again, and I was a little confused. Didn't Leo reincarnate? Was it a hallucination? Just then, footsteps sounded outside the door. I quickly closed my eyes. You're so smart, son. You told me to use the bitter flesh trick to lure her here. Otherwise, she's so heartless, she wouldn't dare refuse such a good opportunity to contribute to our family, my mom said, walking over quickly and pinching me several times. Still not appeased. Otherwise, our family would have been rich long ago. It's all her fault. Tom chuckled sinisterly twice. Mom, don't worry. The master said it must have been not enough blood last time. This time we'll put in more. No one can stop our family from getting rich. He actually still wants to come. Truly both ruthless and foolish. As if sensing my anger, an invisible hand seemed to gently brush across my chest. I gradually calmed down. A shadow fell before me. Sis, I know you're awake. Don't worry. Once I've traded my life, I'll bring your little niece over too. Then you can stay here with peace of mind. I'm counting on you two to get rich. I couldn't hold back any longer and glared at him. You scumbag who has done every evil deed, I'm telling you, you won't have a good end. You will surely die without a burial place. I don't know which sentence provoked him, but Tom's face changed drastically. You stinking bitch. I will definitely live better than you. We're both born of the same mother. Why should I be inferior to you, you stinking woman? Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and bring me the jade tablet. I then saw my sister-in-law holding the jade tablet and hiding. At the back, when Tom yelled, she visibly trembled and timidly walked over. My mom grabbed a knife and yanked my hand. Heidi, don't blame me later. Blame yourself for being useless. One drop of blood would have been enough, but you're so useless. Do you know your brother was almost beaten to death by loan sharks? It's all because of you. Why are you telling her so much? Just drain all her blood. If that's not enough, drain her whole body. I don't believe it won't work this time, Tom completely trusted that swindler, not only selling his house but also taking out high-interest loans. As a result, he not only lost everything but also ended up deeply in debt. He had originally planned to use the money to pay off his debts after using my life to turn his luck around. As a result, the jade token was slow to take effect. He was found by loan sharks, who beat him severely and threatened to cut off one of his legs if he didn't repay the money. That's why he was so desperate, even resorting to kidnapping. He's just a madman. On the other hand, calm down. Don't you want to know why it didn't work? A single drop of blood should have been enough, yet it made you so miserable. Leo had reincarnated and left, but the effect of the jade token remained. Now Tom is not only as fat as a pig but also beaten black and blue, his face as pale as gold leaf, looking both comical and ridiculous. Then tell me, why, after all my efforts, did I still fail? That's because heaven has eyes, and you, an evil person, are getting your just desserts. This jade token only works for those who have a blood relationship with the sacrificer and worshipper. The closer the blood relationship, the better the effect. That's why you came to me, but you're mistaken. The person with the closest blood relationship to you in this world is not me. Tom was indeed shaken, and I added fuel to the fire. Think about it. Why can everyone else succeed but you can't? The jade tablet is fine, so there's only one problem: you've chosen the wrong sacrifice. Having been family with him for decades, I knew Tom was foolish, arrogant, impulsive, and easily angered. He wouldn't disappoint me. Sure enough, he set his sights on my mother. My mother's face was ashen. She said unwillingly, "I'm your biological mother. Don't listen to that dead girl's nonsense." But before she could finish, Tom unhesitatingly cut her arm with a knife. The next second, bright red blood dripped onto the jade token. Unfortunately, the jade token was now just a piece of low-quality granite. Mom, you're my real mom. I wouldn't trust anyone else with this. Don't worry, once my luck turns, I'll definitely take good care of you. I added, are you sure Mom will still be alive to be taken care of by then? I heard that after your name is changed, not only will you be plagued by bad luck, but you'll also see ghosts. Hearing this, my mom shrieked and completely fainted. I watched coldly, feeling no emotion, to fall at the hands of her most beloved son. My mom must surely die in peace. Your turn, Tom said, holding the knife and looking at me. I cringed and backed away. Haven't you already gotten the blood? He sneered. I thought about it, and I still need a double check. Don't worry, I'll just let out a little. It won't hurt much. He advanced on me, step by step. Blood flowed down the blade, dripping onto his body, but he didn't seem to care. In this sparsely populated suburb, I was tied up, like a lamb, to the slaughter, a fish on a chopping board, left to be butchered. He swung the knife towards me, but in the next second, he tripped and fell flat on his face, as if someone had violently bumped into him. Suddenly, a cold snort came from outside the window. It was George and Sam. They climbed in through the window, pounced on Tom, and began to wrestle with him. Tom was already injured, and 2 fists couldn't defeat 4 hands, so he was quickly subdued to the ground. His eyes were bloodshot, and his expression was crazed. This is impossible. When did you untie it? Impossible. Let go of me. His sister-in-law, who had been quietly in the corner, walked over. She shed her previous timid image, swung her arm, and fiercely hit Tom. I've had enough of you. Tom was stunned by the blow. He cursed viciously. Bitch, whore, you barren hen, I'll kill you. My sister-in-law slapped him a dozen more times, and he was pinned to the ground, unable to resist. When she had slapped him enough, my sister-in-law let out a long sigh and sneered. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with me. I could have octuplets with a different man. Still not appeased, she continued. You're the one who's always had problems. I told you to go to the hospital, but you said I was cursing you. You blamed all your problems on me. All these years, you and that old hag have been beating and scolding me. Do you know how much I've suffered? Today, I'm going to tell you. My sister-in-law almost screamed. You're the one who's a barren hen, Tom Cursed, you're full of shit, you're not. Meeting his sister-in-law's half-smile, he roared, and the next second his mouth was covered, leaving him only able to kill with his eyes. The thugs waiting outside heard the commotion and were about to rush in when the reassuring sound of police sirens filled the air. The police broke down the door, and after Tom and his group were taken away, George came to help me. In a daze, I thought I heard a whisper. "Goodbye, Mom." After my rebirth, I had people tracking Tom, so I knew his every move, and this kidnapping was within my expectations. I thought of many ways to get revenge on him, but George told me that we should live well to make the most of our rebirth, and that people like Tom aren't worth dirtying my hands with. I think he's right. I find Tom's blood dirty, and the law won't let people like him off the hook. Before long, Tom's verdict was announced. He was sentenced to 20 years for multiple offenses. The police followed the clues and caught the professional swindler earlier than in the previous life, and the man who was swindled in the previous life successfully escaped a disaster. One family was spared from disaster afterward. I found that man and handed him an anti-fraud leaflet. National Anti-Fraud Center, you deserve it. As for that master, Sam volunteered. I've been annoyed by this evil cult for a long time. Not long after, a mutilated corpse was found in the underground tunnels of a small border country. It was said that the person had been devoured by a demon. When my mother woke up in the hospital, the first thing she saw was the news of my brother's arrest and imprisonment. She came to my house and went ballistic. "He's your own brother. Don't you have any conscience, you wretched person? I shouldn't have given birth to you." I watched her coldly, then called security to have her blacklisted. Not long after, Tom offended someone in prison and was tortured to death. My mother went completely insane. I sent her to a sanatorium in the suburbs, and I don't expect to ever see her again in this lifetime. After my sister-in-law divorced, she quickly remarried and moved to another province. I believe her future life will be bright and full of happiness. Later, the old family house was demolished, and I was the sole heir. I used the demolition compensation to buy a large apartment in the city center. On the day of handover, George and I hugged and cried, finally seeing the light after all the hardship. On moving day, I invited Sam and my best friend over for dinner. "Cheers," Sam said, raising his glass. George and I exchanged a smile. "Let's toast with tea instead of wine." After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.